No, I don't believe in divorce. I'm trying to get it, uh, what's the word for not legalized? Criminalized.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone should
So
be
no
trapped in
fault
marriages
divorce was a
forever.
mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a really
I gotta
interesting
start. Oh, go
900
ahead.
page conservative document that you might really enjoy.
I gotta figure out another way to cope with these things because I do worry that, that thing, like I know this is a joke, but just be aware, if you go knocking on
Mm,
enough doors, eventually the devil will answer, or whatever.
hmm.
That does concern me a little bit. I don't believe in these things. I don't.
Yeah.
But
But it's like if I say it one too many times, maybe it'll actually confirm itself as a
exactly.
belief in my mind. Yeah.
Exactly. I
And
don't
that would be
ever want
bad.
that to be true. No, but that happened when
No.
I started saying y'all as a joke when I was like 11 years old. And now I could never imagine a life without y'all, you know?
Aw.
Okay, Rango. Should we talk about Rango?
Let's do it.
Yes.
I haven't thought of an acronym at all.
I did. I thought of several. I'm so excited. I actually, because I remembered some of the ones that we had thought about for the last time that we talked about Rango, and
Hmm.
but
Which dedicated viewers will
longtime
know
viewers
about.
will know.
Yeah.
And I have several options just for you to chew on a little bit.
Okay.
Searching Thespian, Evil Mayor, or
True.
Sheriff Thirsty, and then letter E, and then metaphor. I don't have another letter E for that
I
second
like
one.
it as like e-bugs. Like that's just also.
That's always a good option.
Yeah.
It's the
It's
funniest thing
Sheriff,
anyone's ever
Sheriff
posted.
Thirsty
That's
in
what the
metaphor.
internet is for.
That's just an option.
um, I like e-bugs. That's pretty funny. Uh,
Yeah.
but those are my two. Those are my two options.
Sheriff Thirsty.
Hmm.
Yeah, they're both good. I think we can muse on it a bit further.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Okay. Welcome to Women in STEM.
Thanks.
You're welcome. I did see that comment where someone suggested we change our name because it's a little hard to find us. And that's the sweetest thing anyone's ever said because
I
they're
know, I
like,
was like,
it should be easier for people to find you. That's
thank
so
you.
kind. That's
Yeah,
really sweet. Thank you for
that
saying
was
that.
so nice.
That was really, I made my day. That was such a nice thing to say.
Yes,
Um,
it was. I
yeah.
think we've gotten a couple comments of like constructive criticism, and they always start with like, I'm surprised
Aw.
more people don't know about you or whatever. And you're like, really? It's
And
so
then
nice.
they all have the same like structure too, where they're like, this thing may be construed in this way just a little bit, but like if that's the vibe you're going for,
If that's what you're
then
going
go for
for,
it. Like
then
live your truth.
ignore me. Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
you
always
just
using
can't.
like the pie structure. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
I love them so much. All of our followers are so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
it's
that's the perk of
wonderful.
being essentially unknown.
Yeah. Yeah, no
Like
one's been
generally
mean
a
yet.
smaller community, people are nice, and then the bigger it gets, the more like kind of, you
Yeah,
know,
which is confusing because we're
dissension you
generally
feel. But
magnets for controversy. Yeah. Okay. I'm so excited. This is one of my favorite movies. It's a perfect movie to me. Perfect movie. One day we'll do the graphic.
Yeah,
Maybe.
maybe. But we're
Who
not gonna go.
knows?
I'm definitely not gonna go back through and add it into anything that's already been posted. So you
I
just have
might.
to imagine it, and then maybe eventually we might do it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I might do it because I do watch these often enough where I could probably find them pretty quick.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get bored with all the other content on YouTube. I'm like, what are my friends me doing? And Olivia, like, what are they up to? I also get frustrated that we don't post often enough.
That's at least once a week.
Yeah. But I just, as soon as we end the conversation, I forget that it ever happened. And so
Mhm.
every time it's new to me.
And
Yeah.
that's beautiful.
Yeah. Um, anyway, okay. I'd say top 10 for now, but it usually cycles in a little bit closer. I've got a lot of movies in orbit, and some of them
Mhm.
like loop in pretty close to me at times. And this is one that comes back in a tight circle often
Mhm.
enough, like 10 to top three for sure. It's in a rotation.
Gotcha. And I feel it's one of those things that like maybe it's number 10 right now, but by the time we finish the conversation, it'll be number 3, you know?
Yeah.
Because when it's fresh on your mind, you are like, oh, I love this movie, you know?
Yeah. You know what? No, damn it. I'm trying to be objective here, but it's not. It's top three. This movie's so good. I was trying to do the thing
Yay!
where I'm like mature. I'm like, maybe it's not as good as I think it is. But no, damn it. It is that
It
good.
is.
I
It
love this
is.
movie. This is my
It's like
favorite
how
movie.
it's like every time that we like recommend Bahubali to someone and you're like, I hope I'm not like overhyping it. There's no way that you can overhype it.
No.
It's the best.
It's that much
So,
fun.
yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, exactly. I love, love, love this movie. I never get tired of watching it. It's like it's such a masterpiece on its own, but it's and it because oh sorry, because it's so weird. It's so weird. It's such a like all of the characters are so gross,
Mhm.
and there's like weird hallucination dream sequence type things. One
Mhm.
moment
Which
where
is
he's like,
awesome.
which is awesome.
Mhm.
Okay? Yeah. Yeah, the lizards have hair and boobs. What's your problem?
Um, for a while there was this thing in theater, particularly musical theater, where like every show had a dream ballet. And they kind of don't do
Hmm.
that anymore. But why not, is my question. Yes,
Yeah.
it's boring and heady. And some people like that.
That is actually I I do think that this movie kind of is the reason it shaped me into who I am today for that reason.
Mhm.
Because I was on vacation with my mom. We did a special girls trip every like couple years or so. This was I was young. I was like 11 and we went to see it in theaters. And I remember thinking the whole time I was like, I don't know if I like this. I don't know. I don't know. And then I just kept thinking about it for the next like 9 months. And the
Mhm.
more I kept thinking about it, the more I was like, I don't think I don't like it. I think I like it. I think I really do. And then when I had kind of it kind of faded to the background, and then when I was like 18, I rediscovered it. I was like, holy shit, who was gonna tell me about this movie? Like, and I think it just sank so deeply into my subconscious that I'm
Wisconsin.
um I'm rebooting. Oh, my software just crashed. Sorry. But I think I didn't even notice, you know, that it was like, no, actually, these are the things that you're going to like, and they're going to be the ones that aren't normal. Mm,
I didn't have really that experience. I didn't watch it in theaters like I watched it when it was on Netflix. So I was young, but not like that young.
mhm.
Um, I don't know. I think I already knew that I liked it, but I also have grown up on much culturally weirder things.
Yes.
So I was like, I don't understand. Like, it was like when Whitney sent us that song the other day, and she's like, it's weird, but I think I like it, but I don't know. And I just was like, I genuinely can't. comprehend something that's unlikable about this, you know?
It's just a
It's like I don't
Bastille
get it.
song.
Yeah, it's like it's regular. Like, what do you mean?
Ice cold take.
Yeah. I didn't get it. I was like, they're like, they make pop music. Like, what are you talking about?
They're on the radio a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. If you saw the songs I considered weird, you'd want to hurl.
Like, genuinely. Everyone download Radio with 7 O's app right now.
Okay.
Get weirder.
That's, yeah, real
Yeah.
advice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or else.
Like, we're always saying that.
When are we going to start putting movies in museums? It's got to happen. Not even just
Gotta
like whole movies,
happen.
but like scenes.
Right.
Yeah.
It
Like
should.
Hold
I
On Tight,
mean,
Spider Monkey. Your face dropped really quickly there. That was
I'm
really
just
scary.
oh. It's because I had to focus. Because there are film museums, and I'm gonna go to all of them. I just decided.
Road trip, road trip, road trip.
Yeah.
Ooh,
What?
sick. Where are they?
Have you ever
What?
hovered your little, over a red pin on a map and it shows like the name of the place and then it's like catchphrase or like explaining what it is? Like it would be like McDonald's, a fast food restaurant,
No,
for
I don't know
example.
that. But continue.
Well, that happens. And when you go to Oregon Film Museum, it says Goonies-centric museum in an old jail. Now what
Say
could
less.
I'm already packing my bags.
First word, I had bought tickets and then it kept going.
Goonies-centric. Like they have other stuff, but it's all through the lens of
But
the Goonies.
the Goonies.
The Goonies-centric museum
In an old
in
jail?
an old
More
jail.
things need to be in old jails. You have some hotels in old jails,
That's awesome.
and that's great.
Mhm.
Yeah, but like, why can't I work in an old jail? You know?
Yeah.
Life's hard. Well, they should also put a museum and dedicate it mainly to Rango, because
Mhm.
this movie is so good.
Rango-centric
It's so
museum
good.
of art. It's
In an
the
old
Museum
jail.
of Art. It's not the Metropolitan Museum of Art. It's not the Museum of Modern Art. It's the Museum of
Yeah.
Art. Yeah.
Yeah. And it is Rango centric. Thank you for
It is
asking.
it's Rango-centric,
You have to wear
but
a cowboy hat and
lightly
spurs.
sprinkled with the early 2000s Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I, I like this vibe.
Yeah.
I'd go to this museum. I'd apply to work here.
Yep. Well, I'll found it and then I'll hire you.
Thanks. That's nice.
It.
We could each apply separately and then no, because you're founding it. I was gonna say we could each apply separately and then put each other for references or
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
but
I'll found it, but you can still put me as a reference if you want.
I will,
And
thank
people
you.
will cry nepotism, nepotism, and we'll say, and
Mm.
this is a Rango-centric museum of art. Who cares?
This is
If
also
you're
not
so
really
upset
related.
about nepotism, you work here.
Don't just complain. Provide solutions.
Be the
Constructive
change you want to see in the
criticism.
world. Hello?
Whew. Spirit of the West. Rango.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
we should do brief plot synopsis, and then I have notes,
Okay.
and I thought we could do that.
It's like our classic format.
Yeah,
Brief
it
synopsis,
sure is.
notes, and then it all falls apart.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
and that I mean like
Oh yeah.
it can be so fast too. But we
Yeah.
like we don't have to get through all of those before it starts to fall apart. But let's see how far we
Yeah.
get tonight.
Okay. So
Okay.
Rango. Okay, we open. It's a little creature with big eyes, and he's a dramatist, and he's playing with a Barbie. And then suddenly, oh no, his world falls apart because he was in a fish tank on the back of a car, like a moving car, and
Hmm.
the he falls out. Oh no! Ah! And
Hmm.
so now he's lost his family,
Hmm.
and he's in the
And
desert.
his friends, which are just a bunch of fake toys in his little
Yeah.
glass
He
enclosure.
doesn't know any other like people that he can relate to, animal to animal.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
similar. And I think we made this comparison when we made our flushed away video. Very similar vibe of
Hmm.
extremely isolated critter guy falls accidentally into a world that he is utterly unprepared for.
Yep.
And Bill Nye is there, but we'll get to him in a minute.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
basically, these are the same movie.
After he falls off and is lost from his family, an armadillo voiced by Alfred Molina, yes, Alfred Molina of Spider-Man 2
Yes,
fame. We'll
that
remember how
Alfred
we were just talking
Molina.
about Spider-Man 1.
It's a
Yep,
full circle
same
moment
one.
already.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Alfred Molina, my love, my life. I love him so much. And he voices a character named Roadkill. And this is because
And
he
that
tries to cross the
rocks.
road, and it does. And they don't say this out loud. Again, like in
Hmm.
Mad Max Fury Road, how they don't say half the characters' names out loud, but like they're there.
Hmm.
This is with several of the characters in this movie as well. So basically what I'm
Hmm.
saying is this movie is Flushed Away plus Mad Max Fury Road combined. And actually that's so
And
true.
genuinely, what could be better than that?
Yeah,
And it's actually a pretty
nothing.
accurate description as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Like,
was
when
half
have we
joking
ever
when I
been
said it,
wrong? But yeah,
but by the time I got to the end of the sentence, I was like, no,
you
no, I'll
convinced
die on this
yourself
hill.
that that was true. Yeah.
I'm so persuasive. So, he talks to this Alfred Molina character, and Alfred Molina's like, "You're super lonely, dude. You have to go find a town. Like they'll take you in. You gotta just make some friends real quick." So
Yeah.
he goes and he meets this woman lizard named Beans. She's awesome.
Hmm.
She's voiced by Isla Fisher. Yeah.
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
her name is Beans.
Her name is Beans.
So anyway,
He meets
Rango
Beans. Yes.
meets Beans,
He
and she's
meets
sweet.
Beans.
Hmm.
Yeah, but also
She's trying to
very
be,
tough.
yeah, she's tough
Hmm.
because she's a working woman. She
Yep.
has to support her family, etc.
Her her
She's
daddy
in the
died
Wild
when she
West.
was at a very young age,
Hmm.
and he did not die drunk down a mine shaft. Get
So
that
don't even
straight
ask.
right now. Yeah. She's got a broken freeze up fight or flight switch. So
Hmm.
sometimes mid conversation when she's getting really worked up, she'll just go whoop and freeze up stiff as a board for like 30 seconds.
Hmm.
And that's nice. That's really fun. Her switch is broken because again, her daddy is gone.
She's
Yeah.
had some
But
trauma. Yeah.
yeah, her first line in the show is "Get your slimy web phalanges off my boots."
And that's awesome.
Need
What
we
more
say
could you
more?
ask from a movie?
Yeah. Isla Fisher.
Yeah.
Get your slimy web phalanges off
Isla
my boots.
Fisher doing a like southwestern American accent.
Yeah. And boy, ever
Absolutely.
does she do it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some great
Yeah,
work.
100%. Really, truly her best. And she's done some good work
Hmm.
everywhere, but this one. So Beans offers to take him into town, a town called Dirt, and
Which is
that's good.
awesome.
Yep. And through a random series of hijinks, he invents this kind of cowboy persona for himself where he's like, yeah, I killed them Jenkins brothers with one bullet. And that's just a lie. He's just playing a role at that point. He's like, oh, we're playing pretend. Yay. I'm an
Yay.
actor,
Hmm.
performer,
He's a
thespian.
performer, and everyone else
Hmm.
here is an actual cowboy who knew the Jenkins brothers, all seven of them. So they're like, "Oh, are you the one who killed them Jenkins brothers?" And he says, "With one bullet." And they go, "All seven of them?" Trying to catch him in the lie, but he's like, "I'm a professional liar. I do. A man's got to do what a man's got to do."
Yeah. His
So he has
number
to,
one
on the
priority
spot,
is commit to that bit.
So on the spot, he improvises the story of how one bullet could hit 7 guys and take him down, and he does. Except for it only hit 6.
Yep, because what happened in the seventh one, Ollie?
Watch the movie and find out.
Yeah.
That's awesome. This is the
So
best
they're
movie
like,
ever.
it really is. This movie's badass. So everyone's like, damn, he killed them Jenkins brothers. And then through another series of random coincidences and hijinks, he ends up killing purely on accident the hawk that terrorizes the town occasionally. He did not mean to. Again, purely accidental, but now everyone's
Yeah,
like, damn,
yeah.
he really is
He
who he
like
says he
slipped
is.
on a banana peel and fell into like becoming a hero. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and everyone's like, well, now he's got to go meet the mayor. And the mayor, I love him, is so, and maybe I don't know, because maybe it's because I've seen this movie so many times. He's obviously evil, and I love that. You know that for several reasons, because one, you're watching a Western, and the mayor is
Yeah,
going to be
yeah, yeah.
evil.
The
We all
mayor
know
is
this. He's
95% of
evil.
the time evil. Yeah.
But this guy, his first introduction is putting like a tiny little drop of water into an apparently empty terrarium just to see a bunch of little tiny pill bugs crawl into it and drown themselves in the water. And he's like, water, Mr. Rango. And you're like, oh, okay. No, I get your vibe
Yeah.
right
So he's
away.
like
Right away.
crazed, is what you're saying. Yeah.
A little bit, a little flavor. He's also a turtle, but he's in a wheelchair. That's really good. And he's got like a bunch of different extensions, but they're like cobbled together old west style that he uses. Like he has got an extender to play golf with from his wheelchair.
Yeah, that rocks. The character design in this movie, top notch.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we're gonna get into it. Never you fear. I have so many notes about it. So evil mayor is like, yeah, no, you'd be sheriff, sure. People of this town need something to believe in. And basically just being like, this guy's super stupid, dumb idiot. He's perfect. He'll be my figurehead and I can manipulate him any way I want. Um, Unfortunately for Mayor, eventually Rango starts to believe his own lies and be like, no, I am a hero. I am like, yeah, no, I am the sheriff. I'm law around these parts. But they work to uncover the conspiracy in this town because the water is disappearing. Where's it going? And then someone stole the water from the bank, which this town uses as currency. So where'd that go? Then we get a fun high-speed chase through the canyon, which again we're going to talk about more in depth. And then Rango makes the
Scene
full
of all
realization.
time.
Yes. Yeah. Really. And then they make the realization the mayor is for sure 100% behind this. But by this point, the mayor calls in Rattlesnake Jake. Again, we're going to get him in more detail. Rattlesnake Jake runs Rango out of town. Rango has an encounter with Spirit of the West, comes back to town. And now he's like, no, I am the hero, actually. I'm going to choose to be. I am the spirit. I am the sheriff. I'm back. And they win. And we'll, again, very broad
And
strokes.
it's
I want to
yay.
dive into every detail so much.
Yes.
So let's get into it.
So let's
That's
do
just
it.
what we're working with here.
Yeah. Just for anybody who hasn't seen it, now you've seen it. Except for you should still watch it.
Real quick, before I forget, do you know who the Spirit of the West is?
Your mom?
Nice. No, Timothy Oliphant.
Of course it is. Come on.
Yeah. I would never have guessed that, but hearing that, I was like, couldn't have been anyone else. One thing to know, okay, so starting at the top of my list, apparently, so you know how most animated movies they have just the voice actors go into individual booths and then they put all their lines together later, but they just record their lines separately. I've never understood why they do this. I know like logistically it's got to work better because you don't need to get everybody in the booth all at the same time, but this movie didn't. And you can tell the difference. You can always tell the difference. Like Surf's Up did this where they had all of the actors together and they just have tiny little moments where they're joking with each other and you can tell they're in the same room. They're flowing, they're vibing.
The banter is a lot easier when you're actually talking to somebody.
Yes, they did with The Road to El Dorado. Like there's So they had all the characters together, and they have a lot of small side characters in this one, but they don't feel small. It feels like you just caught a tiny little glimpse of what they're like, but you know that it's so much bigger. And getting that to work with this many characters that you're focusing on is difficult without making it feel like your attention spread too thin, or like,
Hmm.
well, why are they even there? They don't even matter. It doesn't feel like that. It just feels like you happened to be there at the right time to see them all working together. And this is because they have so much cohesion, because they were able to record all their lines together. Why aren't we doing this more? When we're in charge, that's going to be the first thing to change.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
One of the first lines is after Rango is like, no, I'm kind of stagnating as a performer lately. I want, like, here's what needs to happen: an ironic, unexpected event that will propel the hero into conflict. And then his cage explodes. He's
So
thrown
it's
off.
funny.
It's really funny. Yeah. It's kind of like, oh,
It's a little tongue in cheek, a little like, yeah.
a little cute. Yeah.
Hmm.
I think that's really funny. Yeah, let's get into character design. Every single character in this movie is so ugly and gross and
Hmm.
stinky. You can smell them through the
Hmm.
screen. I
It's
don't know
because they're
how.
animals from the desert, and you believe it.
And also cowboys.
And also cowboys. And it's,
Yeah.
yeah, um, it doesn't feel far-fetched that these animals have like created these structures and like clothes to wear, etc. They're
Yeah.
so believable as Western characters that you're like, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to
Like,
think about like, oh, logistically their town hall is this big. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't
no.
matter. You're
Yeah.
you're
Like,
swept away.
yeah. Yeah. They didn't, like, you could pick these ideas up and put them in like a live action setting and the idea would work just as well. The fact that they're
Hmm.
like weird, gross desert animals isn't necessarily integral to the story, but isn't it? You know,
It's kind of awesome.
it rips.
Yeah.
Yeah, it technically didn't need to be there, but like the fact that they're like, what if
Now
we
that
did
it
it
is
anyway?
there, it's so much better. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. um oh my gosh, plus they have a Greek chorus of owl mariachi players
They do.
narrating the whole
And
movie.
hello?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've talked extensively before about how much we love a good Greek chorus moment.
It's true.
Musical Greek chorus moment?
And this is another point making it similar to Fleshed Away. And I also just,
Yeah.
I don't know if I've talked about this very much. I do love a mariachi. It has to be said. We used
I
to,
don't think we have talked about it very much. Just speak your
yeah,
truth.
thank you. I will. I think it's awesome and I enjoy listening to it unironically. Also, in high school, whenever one of our friends would leave their car unlocked, we would go into it and change all of their radio stations to be
Oh,
mariachi stations.
that's
Like
funny.
ranchera, yeah, super funny. And then
That's
we'd turn the
that's
volume
pretty
up
good.
and then leave.
Teach them to
Yeah,
lock their car doors.
exactly. And but then
Yeah,
it's like it's not like a little bit of ranchera in your day is like gonna make it worse. You know what I mean?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's
really we were
totally
doing them two favors.
the Greek chorus also
Yes.
every single time is only singing about how hard this guy's gonna die. He's gonna die so much. He's gonna
Yeah.
die 1,000 times.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time. So this whole time, these like kind of silly goofy guys are like, don't get too attached. I mean, no, he's gonna. Oh, he's also a
Hmm.
chameleon. So he's like an actor, so he fills any role, but he's like a chameleon, like a
Hmm.
lizard,
He
and
can
that's
like
really,
blend in.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot to say that earlier because I was too focused on him being a big old creature. But yeah,
He's a creature, yeah.
yeah.
He is a chameleon, and he's an actor. Yeah.
Mm.
Um, it's just so good. But yeah, all the characters have like their, if they have fur, it looks dirty and matted and gross, and there's stains of a mysterious origin everywhere. They
Mhm.
have like open, oozing wounds. One of the characters has just an arrow right through his eyeball. He's fine though.
Mhm.
He just walks around. He's got
Just can't take it
conjunctivitis in the
out.
other eye.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like they all look so, and there's a moment at one point in the movie where there's an aerial assault going on, and one of the characters is an owl, and they're kind of like play hit. They're like, when you're a kid and you like slap, 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 slap like this.
Mhm.
The owl and the enemy character are doing that with each other, but the owl turns his head around, so he's facing the other way because he's an owl.
So consider this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good. So
Yeah.
good. This
Mhm.
is my litmus test. This movie is my litmus test for genuinely if I want to keep being friends with the person. Because Grace from work, you remember my coworker Grace,
They
who
do.
briefly dated my friend London until it ruined my life.
Yes.
Um, she came over to my house to watch Bahubali, I think, with a couple of other friends. And as she was coming in, she was saying, I don't know why she was saying this so fast upon entering my home, but she's like, I hate the movie Rango. It's so boring. I was like, oh my gosh. Okay. So there's nothing I can do to salvage this. There's nothing.
Mm-mm.
I believe that people could have shared interests as friends. I believe that's important to an extent, but I also like, okay, so we just have wildly different values and beliefs. There's
Yeah.
like, no. Mm-mm. This movie is boring. Nothing happened.
How
Like, okay,
so? Like, how
talk about
so?
the Ride of the Valkyries scene.
Okay,
Do it.
yes. So basically, there's like a team of people who are on the ground. And there's another team of people who are in the air. You briefly mentioned this. And there's also a canyon, because yes, this is a Western.
It's a Western. Yeah, it's a
And it's
Western.
like it's like a car chase scene, except for a Western. And so they're riding in like covered wagons down a canyon.
And
Hello.
they're flying in on bats. They're riding bats. They're flying bats.
Hmm. And it plays the classic song, The Ride of the Valkyries, which is awesome. And
Yeah.
it's so like just sweeping and like action packed and awesome. And it's one of the most memorable scenes of the movie for some of us, but not for coworker Grace, who's different from friend Grace and cousin Grace. We
All
like
three are
those two.
different people. Those
Yeah.
two, funny and good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Coworker Grace, I haven't spoken to her in a year, and it's just
You've
been so
seemed
great.
happier this last year. I'll say that.
Yeah, the having Grace as a coworker really did put a strain on my antidepressants. I'm not gonna lie to you. They were working overtime.
Yeah. Whew, yeah.
Yeah. No, this
And
scene
it's
is
funny
great.
because
And
it's
also,
true.
oh, yeah, so genuinely, she was such a difficult person.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Even now, with the difficult coworkers that I have currently, I wouldn't go back.
Mhm.
I'll take them.
I don't blame you. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. They're also, so we have characters riding bats. They're riding bats like planes, and they make plane sounds sometimes, and that's,
That's awesome.
oh my gosh. But also, instead of horses, they're riding road runners. Because again, they're like scaled down, so they're not riding horses, but they're like, well, they gotta
Because that
ride
would be way
something.
too
This is
big.
a Western.
Hello? And it's like, what's a Western animal that's small and famous at running? It's in the name.
Roadrunner.
Road runner, my
Also,
friend.
also the creature running, pulling the water cart.
Hmm.
I can't tell in my memory if it's a boar, but I have always elected to believe that it's a javelina, and I don't
Mm.
ever want to check because I don't know what javelina look like.
You don't
I know
that's funny.
what they look like in, you know, like logically, but I've never seen one in person, and I don't know what like how do they look different
That's
from
so
a boar?
surprising.
I know. And it's
Because
not a lot of videos from other people.
Hmm.
with javelina in their yard. I never saw one.
Huh.
I was always afraid of them tearing out my Achilles with their tendon though, or with their teeth. Because someone told me
Mm.
that could happen, and then it was always like, well, why'd you do that to me? Now I'm gonna think about that all the
That's
time.
yeah, that's like incredibly scary.
Oh, it's good. They
Mhm.
swear a lot of the time. Not a lot of the time, but like
Yeah,
way more
but
than you'd
like
think for a kids movie.
yeah,
And
pretty reasonable amount.
yeah, because again, it's a Western. And this is something
Hmm.
that we've said before. I think that if you want to, the, okay, imagine you're baking cookies and you think, why is the recipe calling for salt? I'm not putting salt in my baked good. That's gross. But then you try it and you're like, it's really bland and tasteless. Should have put the
Hmm.
salt in. The
Should
salt
put the salt in. The salt famously
is
is there on purpose.
exactly because the salt
Yes.
enhances the sweet flavors, it balances it out. It makes for a much more complex flavor experience. The
Yeah.
swearing in children's movies is the salt. You need a little
Mm.
bit of it. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. What the hell are you talking about? Antonio Banderas, just once, just one. You just need
Hmm.
one. And you're like, hey, all
And
right.
that's Antonio Banderas.
And that's
So,
that's Tony
all
Banderas.
things considered,
And everyone has a price, even Tony Banderas. We know this.
the
Actually, kind of,
only thing, yeah, the literal only thing that could make this movie better than it is if Tony
yeah,
Banderas was in it.
yeah.
And
He's
I'm
made a
always
lot of
saying that
really,
actually.
really bad movies better because he's in it. That's
Yeah.
true. I can back that up. You're always saying that.
Hmm.
So getting a little obnoxious, actually.
Yeah. Like, say something else. Get a new
Yeah.
catchphrase. This is ridiculous.
The fact that it is a Western. This is, when sometimes people are like, this movie's a love letter to this genre. And it's like, no, it's not. You've shredded that genre up and just picked out the
Hmm.
parts you liked. And
It's a love
sometimes you
letter
didn't
to
even keep
horror, and
those.
that's why it's PG. And you're like, okay. I
Mm-hmm.
don't
Yeah.
think so.
Or it's a love letter to a rom-com and you just made everybody miserable and sad and lonely. You're like, oh,
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah. No,
This
if
is a
you like a genre,
reimagining of Shakespeare's comedy, and then it's like not interesting or funny.
I'm looking at you, Joss Whedon. That one's on you. I only have like 5 names on my arch enemy list. He's number one.
Hmm.
I read an article about him today about how much of a jackass he was filming Justice League for DC. I don't even
Oof.
like those movies, but I was like, I'm so angry.
You
I
probably
hate him
could have liked him
so
if they
much.
had somebody better working on him. Huh?
Yeah, but they hired Joss Whedon.
Was everyone else busy?
Yeah. It must have been. I
Like there was
genuinely can't think of
nobody
another
else
reason.
available?
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
Like,
ridiculous.
I would have been free. I would have done a better job, and I would have been nice to people while I did it.
Hmm.
But that's just me, I
Famously,
guess.
famously, jobs get done faster, better, and people are happier about it in like a pleasant working environment. So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sometimes,
Whatever.
though, you just gotta be racist and sexist. And just go on a little power trip, though. Just for fun.
Just got it.
I'm coming for you, Joss. Legally, this is not a joke. Rango. We're talking
So
about
Rango.
Rango.
Yay! Instant
Yay.
way to make your
Oh,
mood better.
that's yes, so real.
Remember, oh, I'm talking about
I'm talking
Rango.
about Rango. I don't have to talk about Joss Whedon.
Phew,
I don't have to think about him again for the rest of the day. And I'm not
what
going
a
to. I want
relief.
to be happy. I'm choosing this.
Yes.
One fun trivia fact that I learned about this movie today while I was reading about it was an anti-smoking campaign in California was like, this movie needs to be rated R for all the smoking. And I think that's so funny. Because I do think that PG, I think maybe I
Rango?
could see it. Yes, I could see maybe petitioning for a PG-13 movie
Hmm.
rating, which I also think
Yeah.
is maybe a little excessive, but rated R, I lost it. That's the best thing I ever read.
Imagine like that's so funny because imagine you have
Uh,
that kind of particular upbringing where you like genuinely aren't allowed to watch any PG-13 movie until you're a teenager, and you're not allowed to watch any rated R movie maybe when you move out of the house. But even then, like, you better not let me know about it. And
Yeah.
imagine if your first experience, like, I'm gonna watch something, whoo, rated R. Like, would you not be like, people are way overreacting about these movie ratings? This doesn't matter.
Yeah, you go from Rango to something like Human Centipede. You
Those are
gotta,
not the
yeah,
same
no,
kind of movie.
no.
That's a
Mm-mm.
ridiculous thing to say.
I like Mad Max should not be rated R. Mad Max should be PG-13 because
hmm Because
a
I'd
lot of
let my
reasons.
teenager watch it.
I would. I made my teenager watch it. I made Grace watch it. We did have to
Mhm.
call. Did I tell you this? We had to call and beg her dad on the phone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was at my house when I was
hmm
at my house also. And I was like, well, you love The Prince of Egypt so much. Time for number 2 on my list, Mad Max Fury Road. And I was like, pull it up, Jason. And he's like, I don't know if I'd feel comfortable without talking to her dad first. I was like, first of all, who the hell are you? What happened to Jason?
Yeah,
Like, where's your
weird.
spine?
Little out of character.
I know.
But
I
like nice
know.
of him, I guess, to like look out for his niece, whatever.
Bullshit, in my opinion. But we did, he was like, text Steve and just ask him. And I was like, Grace, hand me your phone. I was going to change my contact information to be her dad's, and I was going to have her text me, and I was going to text my, like I was going to do some shenanigans and some hijinks.
hmm
But she pressed call on Steve's contact and
Weird.
called him and handed it to me ringing. I was like, what's wrong with you, too? What's going on here? surrounded by, surrounded by
Like,
incompetence.
do you not want to watch this? Because you could just suggest a different movie. You don't have to throw me under the bus like this.
Yeah, so now she hit like I was like, now I gotta talk to Steve and Jenny. Oh no. Steve was okay with it, but then Jenny started grilling me. And I had to be like, well, there is a scene where, there's a couple naked women and they're milking them, but it's really quick and it doesn't even last that. And like, granted, it's a pretty disturbing scene, but
hmm
it is really quick. It's not like you. I was like,
You
Jenny,
could
I
just say,
promise
Grace,
I'll
close
cover
your
her
eyes.
eyes.
Yeah.
I did. I put my hand over her eyes because I was like, I promised your mommy. Okay, Rango, 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 Rango. Okay.
Rango, 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 Rango.
Rango, 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 Rango. Use it to charge myself up. Rango, 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 Rango. Love letter to westerns. Started the sentence.
Oh, yes. And it actually
Derailed myself.
is.
It
Instead of
really,
being
truly
like a
is.
deconstruction of the genre to the point that it's like, do you even like movies?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like you can tell everyone involved knows the genre and knows how to be like, oh yeah, no, there's an evil mayor. There's some, dramatic scenes where they're riding off into the sunset, or like the hero fails in confidence a little bit, but then he gets it back and he's like bigger and badder than ever, and the good guys win in the end. It beat for beat, it is a classic Western movie. You watch any old Western movie with like John Wayne, that's like
Mhm. Yeah,
this
that's
is
the typical storyline. The hero's journey of a
yeah,
Western is like, yeah.
yeah, yeah, but also done in a completely fresh way. It's not old, it's not boring. It's because again, there's animals in it this time. But also they just have so much love for the ideas and the story and the history of it that it's such a good homage while while reigniting love for the story type, while creating new interest in it and something that hasn't been seen before, you know?
hmm And I think
Yep.
um the character design is like very refreshing because they've obviously put a lot of thought into like, well, how like would this work? Hypothetically, if there was a
Yeah.
turtle who was trying to hide the fact that he could still walk and he's using all these gadgets and whatever. Like yeah.
Uh-huh.
You put a lot of like thought into it, and so it makes it feel more of like it's interesting because it feels more of a passion project instead of like we gotta hit our quota for movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And no movie should ever make you feel like
Hi.
that. Like they just made it because they had to make something, and not because they from their heart had to make something. Like they had a vision for it. You know
Yes.
what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, they had to get it out before it exploded then.
Yeah. And this movie is so much fun. We didn't
It's
mention,
really
but
a
in the
good
canyon
ride.
scene where they're playing Valkyries, it's on like banjos. Like it's like westernized. I mean, come on.
And then also the whole time, the main character, Rango, um, he's wearing Beans's dress. And just
Yes.
he's like floating around. He's having the time of his life. He's like, yeah, no, it's roomy in here. And then he lands on top of another character who's riding a roadrunner because again, they ride roadrunners instead of horses. And then the other guy's like,
Mhm.
that wasn't entirely unpleasant. So like,
So there's that.
uh-huh,
Mhm.
yeah. It's like, you know how sometimes in old movies they'd make jokes that are like, oh, that's pretty gross. You're making fun of
Mhm.
a man in a dress because of man in dress, and that's funny. But no, the joke
Yeah.
here is like, why does he look better in it?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
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 He has no qualms about it. He's not embarrassed. No one's like shaming him for it. In fact, they're like,
No.
damn, all right.
Yeah. He kind of likes it, and they kind of like it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beans is just like, I don't want to wear these. These stink.
Yeah.
You know, it's good. Just
Yeah.
like really casual, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I like it. It's good. What else do you want me to say about it? You want me to offer criticism or like thoughtful like analysis of the movie?
Don't be ridiculous. That's not what we do here.
I'll point at everything and say I like that. That's all I
Yeah.
have to offer. No, it's so good. That scene's so fantastic. Um, and then like you have these three bad guys who were planning on breaking into the bank, but they didn't. I mean, they broke into the bank, but they didn't steal the water. The water was stolen before they got there. But they're criminals. No one believes them except for Rango. But the
Mhm.
town's gonna go berserk if they don't hang the criminals. He's like, I'm not hanging anybody until we get to the bottom of this. Unfortunately, that is when Rattlesnake Jig arrives. Let me set the scene for this. So imagine that you're watching a Western movie, and
Okay.
imagine
Wait.
that you're watching. Okay,
Okay.
let me know when you're. Okay.
Okay.
And imagine the sun is setting, and imagine that the main character is giving a rousing speech, right? And
Okay.
imagine suddenly the sheriff sign hanging above his head is shot to pieces in a thousand different pieces by a machine gun. And then imagine the camera pans around and suddenly there's a giant rattlesnake character with a cowboy hat and a mustache on his scales. And here's the kicker, his rattle, it's a machine gun. Yeah, no, it's a machine gun. His rattle, he goes, that's him loading the gun. And he's voiced by Bill Nye.
So how could one say this movie is boring?
They have to be missing brain cells. I'm so serious. Some of the movies I like, I'm like, it's not for everybody. I understand that. This one, medically, there is something wrong with you if you don't like it. It's just like in Mad Max Fury Road when you see the flamethrowing guitar guy and you're like,
And he's just there. That's not one of the main characters. He's like basically a set piece.
yeah,
Is that not awesome to you?
what more do you want? What are you
Mhm.
looking for?
Mhm.
If that doesn't make you happy, then genuinely, you're beyond help.
It's like knowing that in Triple R someone throws a leopard at another man's face. It's like if you knew that and
That
were like,
guy.
I don't know, sounds kind of boring to me. I don't think that's the word that you mean. Because
I,
that's objectively exciting.
I'm rubber, you're glue. Maybe
Whatever
you're the
you say
boring
I
one.
am, that's what you are. Boring movie takes one to know one. Yeah. There's no way.
Yeah. No.
It
Yeah.
rocks,
There
actually. This movie rocks.
there are some things in this life that are objective. You know, some
Mhm.
things come down to, personal opinion. Some things are like some crimes are objectively funny, some
Mhm.
songs are objectively bad, some movies are objectively cool. And like if
Mhm.
you don't get that skill
Then you
issue.
need to fix yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. repent, like contribute some genuine meaning into the world, you know? Be better.
Yeah. Oh, this movie
Not
is
even
boring. Well, what are
joking.
you doing?
Yeah, dick. I'm
Yeah.
sure none of our wonderful, sweet, and lovely followers would ever think that. I don't know who that was directed to. I think I'm just kind of sharp because of I accidentally thought about someone tonight that I wasn't supposed to think about for my mental
Mhm.
health. Okay, Rattlesnake Jake. Rattlesnake Jake. Objectively cool, voiced by Bill Nye. Um, and what an incredible, fascinating character he is. He's basically the personification of death, and he's the scariest shit you've ever seen. He's so scary.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because he's
And
huge and he has a
yeah,
machine gun attached to his
to
body.
his
So think
body,
about
to
that.
his body, to his tail. That's part of him.
Mhm.
Ooh, and he seems, I mean, like he's the bad guy. They've talked him up for the whole movie as being like he's the Grim Reaper. He is death. Like
Yeah.
he's a
He's
scary
the
guy.
big bad.
And then he shows up, and not only does he live up to those expectations, he exceeds them because he genuinely seems so angry at Rango for lying to these people. It's like he's offended by it somehow.
Mhm.
Like the principle of being an outlaw, of being a legend in the West, means so much to him that someone
Yeah.
cheapening it, that offends him more than anything. Like it doesn't seem like he's been hired to attack this guy. Like the mayor called him in to take care of Rango, but it's not like this is a job to him. It's personal. And that is a
Yeah.
fascinating line of thought. Yeah. Also, this starts like sometimes when I'm in a mood, I put on this scene in the movie and I just restart it and play it over and over and over again because
Mhm.
it's the most like I can't necessarily put words as to why I like it so much. And maybe it's just the Bill Nye of it, but the
Mhm.
idea of like a principled villain is always a really good idea.
He's very intentional about it. And so then seeing somebody like
Yeah.
pretend to be something that he's not, he's like, I've worked for this.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Yeah. I earned my reputation through blood, sweat, and tears, none of them my own. Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
fascinating character and like I love love the idea that the moral failing he mocks Rango and he grabs his gun and he takes out
Mhm.
all the bullets but one and he hands it back to him. He's like, "You're not going to need all these, just one, right? Shoot me. Do it."
Mhm.
And Rango can't. He has that gun put and he puts it right next to his face and he can't pull the trigger. He's like, "You
Yeah.
got killer in your eyes, son? I don't see it." And that is a moral failing in this story. Finally, finally, I am so sick and tired of those shit plot lines where they're like, I'm not gonna bow down to your level. I'm not gonna kill actually. And that's like the like triumphant moment. No,
Wow,
in this movie,
cool. Good for
the moral
you.
failing is
Is that
that
he
he
can't.
can't kill that man,
Yeah.
that
And so
snake,
now
who
he's
again
failing
has a
all these
machine
other
gun in his
people
tail.
that are relying on him
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
counting
yeah,
on
yeah, yeah.
him to be this big, like, outlaw turned sheriff. And he's not. The failing is that he isn't who he pretends to be, and he's hurting other people. He's taking other people down with him in that lie.
Yeah, yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. It's like Tim Allen in Galaxy Quest.
Yes, that's the movie that
Just
I was
like,
just trying to think of. I was like, what's that other one where they're like, there's the big reveal is just like, you lied.
oh, Meet the Grams.
Yeah.
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 um, big shout out to Kendrick. Big fan of the channel. We all
Yeah.
know this.
We go way
Um,
back.
yeah. It is funny too that both of those movies, Galaxy Quest and Rango, their big moral failing is just that they're actors.
Yes.
That's pretty funny.
That is funny. So this movie
Yeah.
is Flushed Away plus Fury Road plus Galaxy Quest. And
Yeah.
name a better movie.
How did I say it a couple weeks ago? I said um it's like if It's like if Galaxy Quest and Flushed Away had a baby and Mad Max Fury Road was the father.
Yeah, yeah, you said that. I thought that was funny.
Like Gilgamesh, 2/3 human,
Yeah,
1/3 god. And you're like, how does that work? Yeah,
yeah. Well, we've all seen it.
we're all on the same page. Absolutely. Um, and I love this part of the movie too because this is where the lack of identity shifts in his mind. It's, he's nobody. He's never been anybody. He's been a lonely lizard in a box his entire life, and he just makes up identities for himself. He can be whoever he
Hmm.
wants to be. But he has no one to turn to fall back into. He has no
Right.
base identity. And it's a burden. I'm nobody. I can't help these people. Like, you've chosen the wrong messenger. I'm nobody, you know? And then the Spirit of the West, Timothy Oliphant, he's in this movie. He says, then be a hero. Then be a hero. It's not
Hmm.
about you, it's about them. He only has like 9 lines in this movie, and all of them are insane. One of them is,
Hmm.
if this were heaven, we'd be eating Pop Tarts with Kim Novak.
That's
It's
so
so good.
funny.
This movie's so good. All of a sudden, it's not, I am nobody upset. It's, I am nobody hopeful. If I'm nobody,
Hmm.
then that means that I am whoever I choose to be.
Hmm.
And I'm
It's like
going
in
to
the Lego
choose to be a
movie.
hero, just like in the Lego movie. So this
Totally
movie is
blank
like if
slate. This movie's like a Flushed Away Galaxy Quest and the Lego movie had a baby, and Mad Max Fury Road was the father.
yeah. Nobody's
Yeah,
doing it
that
like
idea
us,
of like a
baby.
blank slate thing, like if you don't have
Yeah.
your own identity to fall back on, it can be a failing, but it can also be a positive thing because now you
Yes.
get to create that foundation.
Yes. Do whatever you want, but do it intentionally. Do it
Hmm.
scared then, the Spirit of the West said.
Hmm.
It's not about you. You promised to help these people. You said you gave them hope, and then you took it away. Give it back. I've got chills. This movie's insane. So he
Give it
does.
back. Give it back. Give
Give
it
it
back.
back. Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. So he does. He goes back and he picks up his badge that he found. And look, cinema sins, we all know they can die by my blade. And one of the critiques of this movie was, so the badge he just happened to drop and the sand covered it up as he left. It just happened to be uncovered right when he came back into town. Yes, you
Yes.
bitch, because it's cinema, because it's a Western, because there's fate.
It's
Like,
literally a movie. If you want
it's
something
a,
realistic, stop watching movies.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Go so far away
Like,
and
go
stick it up
outside if
your
that's what you
ass.
want.
I don't want
But
anything
this
to
is a
do with you.
movie with,
It's a
ooh,
movie
themes.
and motifs,
Oh no,
even.
symbolism. Oh no, oh my gosh, that's so scary. Melodrama. You.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. And then so Beans is getting like coerced into selling her daddy's ranch. Again, her daddy did not fall drunk down a mine shaft. Um
So stop asking.
yeah,
I don't know why
I
you
don't
would
even know
even
why you
bring
keep
that
bringing it
up.
up. Yeah, just go away, leave it alone. And then everyone's like Rattlesnake Jake is kind of behind her, like decisions, decisions. And she's like, no, I won't. And she throws the water back at him. And everyone in the background is laughing. Also, there's a side character who's just a randomly cockney. He's like, I've become a Drake's Grim Reaper. He never leaves without taking a blooming salt. That's just how he sounds.
Yeah.
Why? He's in the Mojave Desert. That's like, but like, sure, why not? So
Yeah.
they're all in the background and they're going, and then Rattlesnake Jake
We'll have to
grabs
change your
her and twirls up.
strategy.
Yeah. You thought you could take on us?
Yeah.
And then so he grabs her and he tightens her and he's like, sign the damn papers, woman. And she's like, go to hell. And he says, where do you think I come from? Because he's Bill Nye, damn it. Oh my gosh. And then all of a sudden, everyone else is like, whoa, maybe a little bit much. The leopards eating faces party, they brought the leopards eating faces party into town. And then when they
Hmm.
started eating
Hmm.
faces, they were like, oh no,
Oh my
oh
gosh.
my gosh. what is
That's
going
so
on here?
scary.
That's a little bit much. And he's like, you literally called me. What did you expect? And then Rango gets back to town, and Jake's like, hell yeah, baby. Now we got plot. Let's go. And so
Mhm.
Rango has concocted a plan, some hijinks, intentionally this time. He didn't just randomly fall into them on accident. He's like, no, no,
Mhm.
no. We're going to have ourselves a scheme.
I'm gonna think about something before I do it. And the crowd goes
And
wild. I
we
mean,
do. The crowd is us, and we're going wild. Yeah, baby.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's so sick. Because Jake had only stayed away from the town because he was scared of the hawk, because snakes are things that hawks eat for dinner. Yum, yum, yum.
Mm-hmm.
Slumped up like
Ratatouille style.
spaghetti noodle. So to like finagle a little something, Ringo went to the family of the three criminals that are about to be hanged, and he's like, your pappy and the boys are about to be hanged for something they didn't do. And so he gets them and all their bats to form a shadow in the sky to make it look like the hawk, just like in A Bug's Life. This movie
Yes,
is
yes,
like
yes, yes, yes.
like a movie.
Flushed Away Galaxy Quest, Lego Movie, and A Bug's Life all came together and had a baby, and the father was Mad Max Fury Road.
Just gonna keep going, baby. We're not gonna stop. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. It's so good. So Jake sees the shadow of the bird in the sky, and he's like, but then he's like, nah, no, those are just bats. And then he starts firing his machine gun tail. He's got a machine gun tail for a rattle into the sky, and he's going, but then he runs out of bullets. He's like, what's going on here? And then all of a sudden, Rango is there with the gun, with the one bullet that Rattlesnake Jake left for him. And he's like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And then Jake says, you ain't got the nerve. And Rango says, try me. And then Jake looks into his eyes and he knows. He's like, no, I will kill you. And it's like the character development in the right direction. He's willing to kill now. He's gonna do it. He's gonna do it, but he can't because suddenly the mayor is there and he's like, nah, Rango, you're coming with me. And he grabs him and he throws him and Beans into the big old glass water tank and he fills it up with water. And oh no, they're gonna drown.
Oh no!
Oh my gosh, I gotta catch my breath. I'm so
And
hyped right now.
remember how earlier Beans does that thing where it's fight, flight, or freeze, and she just does that in normal conversation? So now,
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
situation in which you definitely should not panic because you're gonna drown. Oh no!
Down she goes. Ooh.
And he's like, Beans, you're gonna drown! Stop it! Basically, I don't remember the line, but that's basically it.
She freezes up because she kissed him. She kissed Rango because she's like, you came back, but he had snuck the last bullet from his gun into his mouth because of a little sneaky trick. He's a little trickster. And then he had the bullet in his mouth. And then she was like, what was that? And he's like, you just swallowed my bullet. And she's like, huh? And then she freezes up. And then he's like, oh no.
And now he's got to get the bullet out.
And she's drowning.
And she's drowning.
In the meantime, the mayor's like, it's a new West, Jake. There's no room for old outlaws anymore. And he goes to shoot Jake with the gun, but Rango had taken the bullet. There's no bullets left in there. But now Jake knows the mayor was going to shoot him. It's empty. Everyone's out of bullets. But then Rango's in the background. He gives Beans the Heim, like the bullet shoots out of her and just taps the glass enough where it shatters everything. Water everywhere. Mayor's knocked out of the wheelchair. He's spinning around. He's like, Rango, Rango, Sheriff Rango, we can come to an arrangement. We can. He's choking because of all the water. And then Rango's like, you're going to have to take it up with him. And then he pushes him through the water over to the rattlesnake Jake, who's like, huh. And then he sees the bullet with the light glinting on it from the sun in the water. And he's like, one bullet. I tip my hat to you. One legend to another. And then he says, what was it you said?
It's a movie.
It's a movie. He says, what was it you said? Pretty soon no one will remember you even existed. And then he grabs him and he runs off into the desert and he's screaming and he's screaming and he's screaming. And then all of a sudden it's a happy ending. Everyone's dancing because the water's back in town. Oh my This movie rips, dude. It's the coolest movie of all time. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I'm getting so heated right now. Oh,
Hmm.
so, and then there's a secret end scene that wasn't in the theatrical cut, and it's not in the like streaming cut, but I had remembered seeing it somehow. And I,
Mhm.
I finally managed to track it down because no one knew what I was talking about when I was like, no, the like alternate ending, or it was like an end credit scene or something. Um,
Right.
and it's their town dirt has been converted into a tropical paradise,
Hmm.
and they're all just lounging. And then they go off to help another settlement over there, and then Beans is like, "Did you remember like your ointments and your minerals and your vitamins and the such?" And Rango's like, "You're embarrassing me. I love you so much. You're embarrassing me though. Let me do this, please." And he's like, "We ride." So it's like, he gets to be himself, but he's also the new role that he's, filling. He is a
Hmm.
hero, but he doesn't have to play act so much anymore. He can be the both of himself, And that's just
Yeah.
really good. It's a good ending.
Like endings of animated movies where it's like a little oasis. Hee hee.
Yeah.
Like in Chicken Run.
Like in Chicken Run.
Mhm.
This movie is like if I should watch that one again too. That's another good one.
So good.
We've not talked about anything bad. We've only
No,
talked
that's
about good things, and we only talk about things, and we have correct opinions about everything.
yeah, that's pretty much what I was gonna say too. Um,
Oh.
Here's an Aardman film that we haven't talked about yet, The Curse of the Were-Rabbit. And we
Ooh.
could do
Mhm.
that. There's last year there was a Friday the 13th in October, which was the best of all time.
I remember
This
that day.
year there's a Friday the 13th, it's in September.
Ooh.
So we
Okay.
talk about The Curse of the Were-Rabbit on that day because it's like spooky, but it's like September spooky, you know?
Yeah. That sounds good. Let's do that.
Okay. Hee
Yay. All
hee.
right. Oh, goody.
We have to come up with
I'm
a few other movies to fill the time between now and then,
in
but
between.
we can get
I'm
there.
thinking next week we could talk about Howl's Moving Castle,
Mm.
because someone mentioned it to me yesterday. Not Jen, who I was talking about movies with, and I don't remember who it was. And it
Hmm.
might not have been another person. I might have just thought about it on my own. Now that I'm saying it out loud.
Someone mentioned it to me the other day. I don't know if you know her, Whitney.
Hmm. It's not ringing a bell, but